Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about traits. So, trait tells the Rust compiler about the functionality a particular type has and can share with each other. So, traits are an abstract definition of shared behavior amongst different types. So, we can say that traits are something similar to what we say interfaces in Java, or we could say what are abstract classes in C++. A trait method is able to access methods within that trait. So, like if in give an example, how do we define a trait? So here I've created a trait of property details. So in this, I use the keyword trait, and then I use the name of the trait, that is property details. And here I have declared two functions, that is description and year purchased. So in this example, I've created two structure, that is a residential structure and a commercial structure, which has the members into it are the society name, areas, and developed years. So how do we implement this trait over here that I have created? That's the property details. So for implementing the trait, we use the imp keyword, that is impl, and we follow it by the trait name. So over here, which is the property details. So imp property details, and then we use the for keyword. So the for will indicate that this trait has to be implemented for which type. So now I'm implementing it for the residential type. So when you implementing it, you have to override the declared traits over here if you're not using the default functionalities. So here each type has its own method over here. So the description will be having its own description will having its own method, and the commercial would be having its own method in the description. So over here I have created two instances, that is one for residential and one is for commercial. So and then I have given them their types, and I filled the parameters into it, and then now I run the code over here. As you can see, I have created that this is a flat in Huana whose area is 650 that I have mentioned over here, and the property was purchased in the year 2018. And this is the shop in Sangria whose area is 850 and the property was purchased in 2020. Next, let's see about default implementation. So when I say default implementation, what I mean that, like over here, this function description, I have defined it into the trait, into the type residential as well as commercial. But now what if I don't want to define a function each and every type that I implemented? So here I can use this, what do you say, default uh, implementation, where I just create a function over here in the trait, and I just call it will be implemented into the other traits. So I can just show you with an example over here. So like if I create if I use this ohana dot heading and sangria dot heading, and I run this code, I would say clear, and I do a cargo run over here. Here you get that the details of the property below and details of the property below. So this is a default implementation. Again over here, if I say that I want to override this default implementation, so to do that I can do is that I redeclare this into the type which I want to override the function to. So over here control C, and if I do it like for the residential type, control V. So here I see details of the residential type property below, and I save this and I clear my screen. Okay, sorry, I've just run. So here you get this details of the residential property below, which is the customized function for your heading, and this is the default function for the heading details in the property below. So another thing over here is that your default implementation function can use the functions that have been declared in the same trait. So like if I say that details of the property below purchased in, and I say this, that I want to use this function, that is year purchased. I clear it and I do a cargo run. Oh, sorry, I forgot this cargo run. So here what you see that again details of the residential property below. This is the customized function that has overridden your heading function, and this is the details of the property below purchased in 2020. So we have used a function that has been declared in the trait by the default implementation. Now that we have seen how to define a trait and use a trait, now we'll see how to pass a trait as an input parameter. So for this, I would like to a function example over here, show an example that is this notify function, which takes a trait that has been the type that has implemented the property details over here, and I just call the function description. So over here what I would do is that I would call this function notify and pass a reference that is of ohana, and I will just comment this out over here for readability purpose, and just run this code. So here what we see is that we have called this function, we have passed this type as an input parameter. We have passed a trait over here. So the new property flat in Ohana is this is 650 square feet. So here what I'm saying is that this is nothing just but a simple copy similar to what we call is a trait bound. So to show you what is a trait bound over here, the syntax is that we over here we first comment out this function, or we would get an error of redeclaration. Here I use something called generics, and then I say that it should be of type property details. And here I just mention that whatever is this should be a reference of T. That is a type that has implemented the property details. So if I run this code again and I check cargo run, here you get a new property that is your flat in Ohana. So generics are this trade bounds also help you have more than one what you say types that can be sent as an input parameter. So if I show you for an example item 1, and if I want another item over here, call it as item 2, and this is also of the type that is property details, that has implemented property details. So here I call this item 1, item 2, and here we have notify, and that will be passing another object. Let's say we have pristine over here, ampersand pristine, and we run this. So here you have passed two items, that is the Oana and pristine. As we seen in this example over here where we are passing a single trait and two items, that is two input parameters, we are bound over here that we have to send them of the same type. But so trait bounds even has the functionality to pass two different types. So here, as we can see, I've created a random function which has a type generic type t and u. The t has implemented display trait and u has implemented clone trait. And here we can pass two different input parameters which has implemented the display trait and your clone trait. But over here, if you pass much input parameters over here, the readability is hampered over here. So to fix this issue here, we use the where keyword where we could say that the type T will be implemented the display trait and U will be implemented the clone trait. Thank you.